Hello and welcome once again to the 3dtotal podcast. My name is Paul Hellard. I spoke this week to Lucas Peinador, a young, busy illustrator and concept artist working in the video game production industry. Now, he's also running a very successful YouTube channel and has become known as a talented and passionate teacher of the visual digital arts. Lucas is from Costa Rica. He's an alumni of Veritas, and this is just one part of his amazing story. I hope you enjoy our chat.
Hello?
Hi!
Hey, Paul.
Good to hear from you. Lucas Peinador, welcome to the 3dtotal podcast. I'm really interested to hear your story. First of all, as every interview starts, I ask, how did you get started? Where did it all begin?
Well, Paul, I think that as any other artist that is hearing this, we all grabbed the pencil when we were kids, and then we are the ones that never stopped using it.
Yes. And obviously traditional. When did you jump into digital?
It was a slow transition, At the start, what got me more into drawing, like kind of seriously into drawing, when I was 15, something like that, was when I discovered the world of anime and manga, and I discovered that this was a thing that was different than Western cartoons, and I just fell in love with the storytelling of these things, and I started doing fan art of them and grabbing books on how to draw manga, how to draw anime. And they were using this thing that I was called a graphic tablet. I had no idea what it was, and there was no way of getting it in Costa Rica. I just tried to find it somewhere, couldn't find it. And one day my brother surprised me when I was, I think, 16 years old. He surprised me with a refurbished Wacom, little
Fantastic.
Wacom,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just leapt on and kept going.
Yes, at the start, I was trying to follow books and things like that because I didn't have internet, so I was just trying to get a hang of how people were painting with this thing in this other thing called Photoshop, and I couldn't. Well, after of course a few years, I discovered DeviantArt, I discovered tutorials, and it went from there.
Now, in Costa Rica, the industry is very small. Tell me about what you saw from where you were.
So after a while, I started studying a career related to all of this, and then I got to see what was the industry like in Costa Rica before, and it was really just starting out around 2000, 2010, 2000, maybe 7. A community started forming around like CG art. And there was definitely not a lot of places to work in Costa Rica. Now I feel a little bit better. I have been not living there for a couple of years, but I still have lots of friends, artists there that are, working in studios telling me how the situation is.
Yeah.
And there are more opportunities now, but definitely not like in other places.
Yeah. With the advent, obviously, of the internet, you can work from outside the studio. Where did you first find the outside work from Costa Rica?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you can do anything that you want, of course, with freelance. Maybe there are some issues with visas and permits for working in certain countries, but there is no big problems for the majority of clients. So I actually started working with national clients. That was the way that I started. The community was still very small, and when you get to meet somebody, you kind of meet everybody.
Yeah.
So people get to throw names around, and when somebody cannot do a job, then they suggest you.
Well, you'd have a fairly good selection of clients, would you not?
Well, I actually work right now in an in-house, so I am not doing any type of freelance right now.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what's your job at the moment, if you can talk about it?
I prefer to not name the studio just because, legal issues, but I work in mobile games here in Slovenia. And, we do nice, cartoony, colorful, happy stuff.
Slovenia. Oh my God. Here we go.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I was I got a little confused when you said Costa Rica. Hang on, I'm calling you in the middle of the night here. The
Yes.
time zones have got me. Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, can you tell me more about the community in Costa Rica for digital art?
Yeah, of course. So as I told you, it is very small. We have like a few pioneers that were the ones that kind of the example to follow, the people that you were looking up to. And there was this feeling, I don't know if it happens in every country, but I have found that it's a commonality between Costa Rican culture and also now that I'm here in Slovenian culture. There is this feeling of we are very small, so it is hard to make it big in any type of industry, right? So it was very valuable to have examples back home in of people that were started working, for bigger clients or doing this thing professionally, digital painting or 3D or anything like that, and you were following their path. And little by little, I met this beautiful community that was growing around my university. Of course, it was bigger than just the university that I was studying in, that we were all striving to improve our art and figure out, because it was like this obscure career. How do you make money out of doing entertainment design? Of course, and if you don't have a right path or somebody that is teaching you, the common mistakes of that you do in this hard medium,
Mm.
then it becomes even a very rocky path.
You moved to Slovenia for
For job purposes.
yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
was that easy from where you were?
Yes, it was easy, but just because I had a European passport, part of my family was from Spain, so it made everything easier to move legally wise. If you're talking more about, like my attached roots to Costa Rica, then it depends from person to person, right? I was
Yeah.
always the type of person that wanted to just see the rest of the world, see how big it was. Costa Rica is very small. Slovenia is even smaller than Costa Rica, actually.
That's cool.
But at least it's a different place. So you get to experience different things, meeting new people, and of course, trying to improve, finding people that are always mentoring you and trying to push you ahead.
So you're getting all these projects, and one of them, of course, where I would like to talk about is the 3D Total publishing book, the Beginner's Guide to Digital Painting in Procreate. Bit of a tongue twister, but apparently it's available in pre-order now. And tell me about your part in that book. I noticed you did quite an extensive introduction.
Right. So it was such a nice experience. The way that we got in contact, the 3 Total guys and myself, was because I was trying to promote their products inside of my videos. I do YouTube, so people were asking about the things that I have from 3D Total, like there in the background of the things that I use, and because of that, I asked them what if we could have some type of collaboration. And after a while, the relationship grew, and they asked me if I could write an introduction and an explanation on how to use Procreate, how to use the technical part of Procreate, the software.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was such a nice opportunity because I have always been a big fan of 3D Total, any type of product. I loved their things when I was studying, and I keep loving them now that I'm a professional. So yeah, it went from there. It was a very extensive work, it's extremely exhaustive. Like we go through everything, really, like every single detail on how to use Procreate. So yeah, amazing experience, and I hope that it's an useful tool for people that don't know what to use and they decide for Procreate.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just mention to the listener that I received a little PDF, a viewing of the book a couple of weeks ago, and I went through it, and it digs deep. It's great if you are struggling with Procreate, or you've just bought a pad and a pen and you've downloaded Procreate. This is the other bit that you need. It goes right down into the many layers and menus and how to do stuff and how to import and export and all sorts of files types. It's just amazing, and the artwork is supreme. Um, I'm just swishing through the bit that Lucas worked on at the start of the book, and boy oh boy, get yourself a copy. Um, Now, Lucas, I'm really interested in the other side of your work, which is what
Hmm.
I've been watching also in the last couple of weeks, is your YouTube channel.
Right.
This is fairly extensive as well. Can you tell me how you started and why you started and where's it been? It seems to have evolved quite a bit.
Well, it is an experience to produce it. I have always, since I discovered internet, I told you that I started my creative career without the internet, and once I finally got it, I found YouTube and I started just learning from people like Mark Creeley,
Hmm.
like oh my God, I remember Mark Creeley because I just adored his tutorials, and yeah, exactly. And I always thought to myself like, damn, this is amazing how these people can share their process and how I am learning so much finally. This is different than any other media that I have tried to learn from.
Mm.
It was just so much easier to learn from video tutorials that I thought to myself after a while, I want to do this one day. I want to be able to be this person that is this mentor, online mentor to other artists one day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you dress up the screen really well as just the shots of the Procreate and the iPad screen. It's produced beautifully. It's and it sinks in.
Thank you very much. I try, of course, to do it nicely. A lot of people say like, yeah, like the gear doesn't matter, the how it looks doesn't matter. What is important is the content. But I always struggle with that because I'm producing this for artists, and I know that we are visual people. We like to have something nice to look at while we learn.
That's right. Now I was looking through your bio and Feng Zhu popped up. Was he one of the mentors that you had online?
And
Feng.
definitely, he was for several years, mostly when I was studying, a guide on how to get a foot on the door in this industry, how it really worked, and of course how to approach it, the technicalities of painting and creating concept art.
Mm.
So yeah, for years he still is one of the most senior concept artists putting content for free in YouTube. So of course, great guy.
The difference between illustration and concept art you spelled out quite solidly during one of your tutorials on YouTube, and I wanted to stop you there with that because they are
Hmm.
indeed quite different. Can you explain the difference and perhaps give me an idea of one of the more successful concept art pieces you've done?
Of course. Well, the difference, if the listener is not aware of what the difference is between concept art and illustration, what I talked in the video is, and the easiest way to explain it is that both of them are in opposite sides of the timeline. They sound like they're very similar, but the reason is because both of them use the same tools. Both of them need the person to paint and create beautiful graphics, beautifully created.
Mhm.
And the problem with that is that the confusion happens because the final product looks exactly the same, but one is at the start of a project and the other one at the end. Concept art happens when you need to ideate or create the first visuals for an entertainment product. And the illustration happens at the end when you need to sell this piece and show it to the public.
Can you tell me about some of the companies you've moved from? Um,
Right. I can tell you my small path back from Costa Rica to here.
yeah, yeah, please.
And I think that it's actually very useful for people that, because a lot of times, the type of messages that I receive the most in Instagram or yeah, mostly in Instagram,
Hmm.
are people that are struggling with the same type of path that I had. Are people with doubts for example, like hey Lucas, I live in this country. There is no concept art industry here, but I know that this is what I'm meant to be, and I feel exactly like them. So they ask me, what should I do? Should I move? Where do I put my portfolio? And people that are also struggling to put their content out there, people that want to do YouTube videos, any type of this struggle to find a foot in the door of this industry.
Sure.
And I think it is very useful for them to know that it is hard for everybody. It's not only hard for us that didn't grow in a place with an industry like that, but also for the people that are also growing right there in California next to the niche of the industry.
Yeah, I think that the best place would, I'll say it first, I think you throw your portfolio up on ArtStation and you're part of the way there, but again, it's a big ocean in there.
Yes, exactly. Even though when you get to go inside of the industry, you start seeing the same names pop all over the place. So it is, even though it has grown, it is not a gigantic industry. You still know the people. Like the fact that I'm talking with you, it is a proof of that.
Yeah.
It is a proof of that, and that I know that the expose books, and I went through them all the years in university, makes us realize that it indeed is very, very small.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you see the same faces all the time in conventions and things like this. So so it is not that hard. One of the things that helped me understand the most on how to go inside of this industry is how important networking is, how important meeting the right people and giving them the best impression of yourself is. So lots of people focus so much in the technical part, and I was one of them, focusing all the time like, oh my God, I need to know how to render this perfectly, how to draw this. And even though that is a big part of the industry, a gigantic one is how to be a good person, how to be a good team player, for example, how to be responsible. All of this is as big, even or more, than how good you can move your pencil around the page.
And follow the direction of the director's vision, that being part of that team and pushing everything in the right direction. Yeah. Tell me, did you obviously started Painter, Photoshop? Which one?
With Photoshop, I started definitely with that one. It's the one that everyone was using in magazines and books and all of that.
Yeah.
So I started with that one. At the start, can you believe, I didn't know that the brush tool existed, so I was painting everything with the path tool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I was trying to draw with a path tool and trying to make gradings and things like that. I was just like, how do people do this? I don't understand. It's so hard. And why did I need a Wacom if this can be done with a mouse? It was a nightmare. And from there, I tried, of course, Corel Painter and several apps. And now my primary tools are Procreate in the iPad and Photoshop in the computer.
Have you tried ZBrush or Blender?
Yes, I have. Part of why I studied what I studied was 3D animation. So
Wonderful.
I went through the whole process on everything, modeling, rigging, texturing, animating, lighting, all of that. So one of my favorite tools during the whole pipeline is ZBrush. It's an amazing tool to express yourself, to really, it makes it so much easier for some concept art necessities to make the thing in 3D.
Yeah.
And I really have to try Blender because people just keep talking how amazing it is, this last update, or I have no idea.
I've been reading.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, where did you study?
Mm-hmm. And I studied in a university in Costa Rica called Veritas.
Oh, yes.
There I studied digital animation, and I cannot be more grateful. This big debate of like, should you go to art school or should you not? And and a very interesting exercise was one that one of my first teachers in that university made for us. He made us write an essay saying if we should continue studying animation. And that was the start of the career. Like, should you continue pursuing animation here in a university? And I still remember the answer, and I maintain it.
Okay.
I say that No, that you should not go to art school for the majority of cases. It is not necessary, but for me it was a necessity because I needed a competitive environment. So if you're that type of person that needs to feel that you have peers and you're doing every this thing together, then absolutely.
Lucas, where do you go in the real world for your references?
Right, right. Well, for me, even though I never noticed, but people have pointed out that some of my references come from my culture, from Latin American culture. You know, I really love using vibrant colors and playing with shapes in a more cartoony, I don't know how to put it, whimsical way.
Yeah.
And people here, because I never noticed the contrast in culture until you leave the place, your home, then you realize how it looked like.
Hmm.
Now I realize how Latin American culture looks to the world, and now I realize how much it influenced my work, its colors and shapes.
Lucas, you've come across from Costa Rica. You're in Slovenia. Um,
Hmm.
can you tell me some tips for people like yourself who come through from developing countries um, who are wanting to work in this big industry?
Of course, as I mentioned before, I think one of the big important things is to improve your soft skills as a person. When people get to know you as a responsible, as a dependable person, and somebody that can follow directions, then you come across as a professional. And the next step from there is to actually show your work, because that is something that I just blows my mind. How people desire to get a job in the industry, but they don't show their work in any place. And you know, sometimes social media is not enough. For me, it was not enough. Social media is a big, big ocean, and everyone has the same size of a boat at the start. And you have to compete against people, against gigantic people that cover the feed. So you cannot depend on social media to get a job. What I did was actually save and go to a convention. I went to Trojan Horse in Portugal, and there I had the opportunity of seeing the biggest faces of this industry right in one place, and of course meeting our directors from different studios that were there precisely to look for employees. And now I realize, now that I have been working in house for several years, I realize how hard it is actually to find artists that fit with the culture of the studio. And that is a combination of both the hard skills and those soft skills that I mentioned before. So if you want to get a job in the industry and you come from a place where you don't have the industry right there next to your home, put your work out there and put yourself as a dependable person out there.
Networking. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely. That's
it's a
tremendous.
beautiful event.
That's tremendous. Um, tell me also,
Hmm.
now with your experience at Veritas, um, do you know of anybody who's come through Veritas and made it in the industry as well?
My biggest influence while I was studying was Luis Galea.
Oh,
Luis
okay.
Galea, yes,
Yeah, yeah,
amazing artist. He worked for the Angry Birds movie,
yeah.
and he's still in places, places doing his stuff. I actually don't know exactly what he's doing right now, but what I know is that while I was studying, he was the name that popped all over the place. He was the one that, drawing teachers were telling stories about him while we were, doing a study or something. Then he came across again during a 3D class mentioning like, yeah, because Luis Gadea did this and that, and that's the way that he made it. And his works were just phenomenal, and they were still the best works after years and years around the university. So I was all the time, and this was, I don't know, I guess it's just I'm that type of person. I was all the time saying, I want to. I want to be that guy one day. I want to be the name that inspires the new students of Veritas to strive to do their best. What I wanted always was to be in a position of be inspiring. That's what I wanted to be.
Hmm, hmm. Set yourself free after you've got that kernel of spice from that person that you're aiming to emulate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay. So, um, once again, the beginner's guide to digital painting in Procreate is available for pre-order now through the 3dtotal publishing website. I'm not sure when it's going on sale, but it may well turn up within a few weeks, but I'm not going to say a date because that would be wrong. Thank you very much, Lucas Peinador. I think I've said it right. I probably mangled it again.
Approximately, yeah.
And best of luck with your YouTube channels. I've subscribed and I'm clicking away at every time you have a link in my mailbox. Thanks very much for continuing to inspire even me. And thank you very much again.
Absolutely, Paul. Thank you very much for having me here.
Great talking with you. See you soon.
See you soon.